Maplewood, a name that evokes a sense of serenity and timeless charm. Even the name sounded idyllic, like a place from a storybook where life was simple and beautiful. It conjured up images of vibrant fall foliage, with leaves painting the streets in hues of red, orange, and gold. Quaint front porches adorned with seasonal decor, pumpkins, and rocking chairs. The comforting aroma of baking pies wafted through the air, a testament to the town's love for tradition and home-cooked meals. It was the kind of town where children could play freely in the streets, their laughter echoing through the neighborhoods as they rode their bikes and played tag. Neighbors knew each other by name, often stopping to chat over fences or greet each other with a friendly wave. Life moved at a slower pace here, governed by the rhythm of the seasons. Spring brought blooming flowers and renewed energy. Summer was filled with long, lazy days. Autumn was a festival of colors, and winter wrapped the town in a peaceful, snowy blanket. The warmth of community bonds was palpable. People came together for community events, sharing laughter, hugs, and creating memories that would last a lifetime. For generations, Maplewood had enjoyed a reputation for tranquility. It was a place where the hustle and bustle of the outside world seemed a distant memory. It was a place where people came to escape the chaos and anonymity of city life, seeking refuge in its small-town charm. Newcomers were welcomed with open arms, quickly becoming part of the close-knit community. The scenic views of Maplewood, with its charming streets and friendly faces, offered a sense of peace and belonging that was hard to find elsewhere. The residents took pride in their close-knit community, where everyone looked out for one another. Community gatherings, neighborhood barbecues, and town hall meetings were a regular occurrence, strengthening the bonds between residents. In Maplewood, people helped each other without hesitation. Whether it was lending a hand with a home project or offering support during tough times, the sense of community was unwavering. Trust was a cornerstone of life in Maplewood. Doors were often left unlocked, a symbol of the safety and trust that permeated the town. But this peace was not invincible. Beneath the surface of this idyllic town, there was a fragility, a vulnerability to the same darkness that could seep into even the most serene corners of the world. It was a reminder that no place, no matter how perfect it seemed, was immune to the shadows that could creep in and disrupt the harmony. And on a crisp October night, under the watchful gaze of a full moon, that darkness descended upon Maplewood. The air was crisp, the leaves rustled softly, and an eerie stillness settled over the town, forever shattering its peaceful facade. The flashing lights of police cars, the stark yellow of crime scene tape, and the broken window were stark reminders that even Maplewood was not immune to the harsh realities of the world. The call came in at 11:47 p.m. on October 14th. A woman's voice, frantic and high-pitched, pierced the quiet of the night.
"Please help me! My husband! He's hurt! There's so much blood!"
The dispatcher struggled to calm the woman down, her words tumbling out in a torrent of panic and confusion.
"It's Rachel. Rachel Thompson, 12 Maple Street. Please hurry."
The line went dead, leaving behind a chilling silence. Within minutes, sirens wailed through the normally tranquil streets of Maplewood, their urgency a stark contrast to the peaceful slumber of the town. Neighbors, startled awake by the commotion, peered out their windows, their faces etched with a mixture of curiosity and dread. The flashing red and blue lights of police cars illuminated the darkness, casting long, ominous shadows that danced across the manicured lawns. The peace had been shattered, replaced by an unsettling tension that hung heavy in the air. James and Rachel Thompson were the quintessential Maplewood couple. They were the kind of couple that everyone admired, the ones who seemed to have it all together. Their smiles were always bright, their laughter infectious, and their love for each other palpable. They were the embodiment of happiness, or so it seemed. James was a successful architect known for his sharp wit and easygoing nature. His designs were innovative and his clients adored him. He had a knack for turning dreams into reality, creating spaces that were both functional and beautiful. His colleagues respected him, and his friends often sought his advice on various matters. Rachel, on the other hand, was a talented painter. Her canvases were bursting with vibrant colors and whimsical scenes that seemed to dance off the canvas. Her art was a reflection of her soul, full of life and imagination. She had a loyal following of art enthusiasts who eagerly awaited her next creation. Her studio was her sanctuary, a place where she could lose herself in her work and find peace. They had met at a local farmer's market, their connection as undeniable as it was immediate. It was a chance encounter that felt like fate. They bonded over their shared love for fresh produce and homemade goods, and their relationship blossomed from there. Their first date was a picnic by the lake, where they talked for hours and discovered how much they had in common. Their love story was the stuff of Hallmark movies, unfolding against the backdrop of Maplewood's quaint charm. The town itself seemed to be a character in their story, with its historical buildings and picturesque streets. They enjoyed exploring the town together, finding new hidden gems and making memories along the way. They were the envy of their friends and neighbors, a shining example of love and commitment. Their friends often commented on how perfect they were for each other, and their neighbors admired their strong bond. They were the couple that everyone wanted to be around, the ones who made every gathering more enjoyable with their presence. They hosted lively dinner parties, volunteered at the local soup kitchen, and could often be seen strolling hand in hand through the park. Their lives were filled with joy and purpose, and they made a positive impact on their community. They were always willing to lend a helping hand and were known for their generosity and kindness. Their life together seemed like a perfectly composed painting, every brushstroke in its rightful place. Their home was a reflection of their love, beautifully decorated and filled with warmth. They enjoyed quiet evenings together, sharing their dreams and planning their future. It was a life that many envied, a life that seemed almost too good to be true. But beneath the surface of their seemingly perfect life, cracks had begun to appear. The pressures of maintaining their ideal image started to take a toll. Small disagreements turned into larger arguments, and the once unbreakable bond between them began to show signs of strain. The perfect picture they had painted was starting to fade. Whispers of discontent filtered through the grapevine. Friends and neighbors began to notice the subtle changes, the forced smiles, and the tension that lingered in the air. The once harmonious couple was now the subject of hushed conversations and concerned glances. The facade of perfection was beginning to crumble, and the reality beneath was far more complex. Neighbors spoke in hushed tones about heated arguments overheard through open windows, the sounds of slammed doors echoing through the night. The once peaceful home was now a battleground, with raised voices and hurtful words replacing the laughter and love that once filled the air. The cracks in their relationship were becoming more apparent, and the strain was evident to all who knew them. The perfect facade was crumbling, revealing a more complex and unsettling reality. The truth was that their relationship was far from perfect, and the pressures of maintaining that image had taken a toll on both of them. The love that once seemed unbreakable was now fragile, and the future they had envisioned together was uncertain. Beneath the surface, their story was one of struggle and heartache, a reminder that even the most seemingly perfect lives can have hidden depths of pain and complexity. Detective Michael O'Brien arrived at 12 Maple Street to find a scene straight out of a nightmare. The house, usually a picture of suburban tranquility, was now a chaotic mess of flashing lights and yellow police tape. Neighbors stood huddled in small groups, whispering amongst themselves, their faces pale with shock and curiosity. Blood was everywhere, staining the pristine white carpet a gruesome crimson. The once cozy living room, with its neatly arranged furniture and family photos, now looked like a scene from a horror movie. The metallic scent of blood hung heavy in the air, mingling with the faint aroma of the evening's dinner, now cold and forgotten on the dining table. James Thompson lay sprawled on the living room floor, his lifeless eyes staring blankly at the ceiling. His face, frozen in a final expression of shock and pain, told a story of a life abruptly and violently ended. The room seemed to echo with the silent screams of his last moments. A single stab wound to the chest told a chilling story. The precision of the attack suggested a moment of intense rage or perhaps a calculated act of violence. The wound was deep and fatal, leaving no chance for survival. It was a brutal end to what should have been an ordinary evening. Rachel Thompson, her face streaked with tears and mascara, sat huddled in the back of a patrol car. Her sobs were loud and uncontrollable, her body shaking with each breath. She looked every bit the grieving widow, her pain raw and palpable. But there was something in her eyes, a flicker of something that Detective O'Brien couldn't quite place. She was in shock, her voice trembling as she recounted the events of the evening. Her hands, still stained with her husband's blood, trembled as she gestured wildly, trying to make sense of the chaos that had unfolded. Her story was fragmented, filled with gaps and inconsistencies that only added to the growing sense of unease. She claimed that an intruder had broken into their home, attacking James before fleeing into the night. Her description of the intruder was vague, a shadowy figure that seemed to melt into the darkness. She spoke of a struggle, of James fighting bravely to protect her, but the details were hazy, as if seen through a fog.
But something about her story didn't sit right with Detective O'Brien. He had seen too many crime scenes, heard too many stories to be easily convinced. There was a nagging doubt, a whisper in the back of his mind that told him to look closer, to dig deeper. Her demeanor, though distraught, lacked a certain authenticity. There was a calmness beneath the surface, a composure that seemed out of place. Her tears were real, but there was a coldness in her eyes, a detachment that made him question everything she said. And there was something off about the crime scene itself. The pieces didn't fit together, the puzzle was incomplete. The more he looked, the more questions he had. Why was there no sign of forced entry? Why did the struggle seem so one-sided? The answers were elusive, slipping through his fingers like sand. The house showed no signs of forced entry, no broken windows or doors. It was as if the intruder had simply walked in, uninvited but unimpeded. This detail gnawed at him, a small but significant piece of the puzzle that refused to fit. And the only fingerprints found on the murder weapon, a blood-stained kitchen knife discovered in the sink, belonged to Rachel. This discovery was damning, a piece of evidence that pointed directly at her. But it was too neat, too convenient. It felt like a setup, a carefully constructed lie. As Detective O'Brien delved deeper into the investigation, a chilling suspicion began to take root in his mind. The more he learned about Rachel, the more he began to see a different picture. She was not just a grieving widow, but a woman with secrets, a woman capable of deception. Could this seemingly perfect wife be capable of such a heinous act? The question haunted him, a whisper of doubt that grew louder with each passing day. He knew he had to find the truth, no matter where it led, no matter how dark the path. The answers were out there, hidden in the shadows, waiting to be uncovered.